I cleared the disk on my external hard drive. So far, I'm liking this. I'm gonna talk a little bit through my thoughts before I kind of give my final rating. I'm reading it in everybody's voices, and it sounds really, really odd in my opinion. The TV version is better. Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. Now you might notice something a little bit different about me today. I'm wearing glasses, but this is gonna be the first video that you guys are gonna be seeing in a long time, and I'll put a thing out well before this actually comes out. But when I was going to edit my February TBR so I could upload it like in the upcoming days pretty much, instead of going to clear the disk on my camera so that I could get more footage time back, I cleared the disk on my external hard drive. So that footage is gone, and I have been trying to get it back, but I've been having no luck with doing it through the actual system itself. So apologies if I seem a little bit just all over the place. It is because I have lost my footage, and especially the footage that I filmed earlier this week for a really fun video. And yeah, that footage is just completely gone. So this is the first video that you guys have seen from me in a long time. But as you can see by the title, we're going to be doing a 24-hour readathon. In this edition, I'm going to be reading mostly romances because this is going up the weekend of Valentine's Day. I'm currently recording this during Super Bowl weekend. Don't get me wrong, I low-key forgot the Super Bowl was happening this weekend, but you know, it's okay. We're not very much like a football forward family, but we mostly want to see the halftime show and the opening thing. So, but that's kind of a little bit of an explanation and such. So kind of like how I did last time, I have 5 books on my tentative TBR that I want to get to, but if I'm not jiving with any of them, I'm just going to DNF them and just put them down pretty much. And similar to how I did this last time, if you watched the first video, it's going to be over 2 days specifically. So today I'm going to be reading for 12 hours with no timer stops. It's going to start at 10 a.m. and then it's going to end at 10 p.m. And then tomorrow I'm going to do the similar thing and such, either starting around 9:30 or 10 o'clock at the latest as well too. So let me tell you about the books that I have on my tentative TBR for this. I have, like I said, 5 of them. They're all different types of romances from different authors, so that I have a little bit of variety so I don't get too hung up on things pretty much. So the first one that I have on the stack is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is the 3rd book technically in the Bridgerton series, but it's the 4th season within Bridgerton itself. This one follows Sophie and Benedict's story. It basically follows Sophie being she sneaks into Lady Bridgerton's masquerade ball, and she meets Benedict through that. And then later we find out that hey, she's a maid, she's not actually a lady of society, and we just kind of follow from there. I've watched the first half of season 4, and this is kind of just as a little bridge gap just to kind of see how their story could end, or how potentially it could be within the show itself. And from what I've heard, for certain scenes within the series itself, that this one's the most book accurate. So I'm very intrigued to see how it is. I'm kind of reading these a little bit out of order. I have not read the first or the second one yet, but I want to read this one because of the break in between. I did this similar to when Colin and Penelope's story came out in 2024. That was way before I started this channel in the first place. So yeah, that is pretty much it that I have on that one. That's the first book that I have on the docket. And the second book I have is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. I have been needing to read this book for such a long time, and right now seems kind of like the perfect time. This is the second book in the Skyland trilogy. It follows Soledad, and basically what happens is something happens where she and her husband have to get a divorce because something happened between them, and it just causes an uproar within her family. She's now a single mother of 3 girls, and she's kind of learning how to find herself again. And then she meets this guy named Judea, who is a single dad as well too, and the last man that she should want, but she can't stop thinking about him, because I've mostly heard that this takes place with women's fiction more of than romance itself, and I don't know why. I'm just in the mood for women's fiction right now. So yeah, that's book number 2 that we have on the docket. And then book number 3 I have is Tempting Olivia by Claire Ashton. This is also the second book in the Oxford Romance trilogy. I think there's also a little novella as well too. But this one follows after the events of Meeting Millie, and it follows Olivia. I read Meeting Millie last year, really loved it, gave it a 4-star, and I'm like, I want to see how Olivia's story is, because when we met Olivia in Meeting Millie, I was like, I cannot wait to hear her story. I cannot wait to see it play out. Not kind of really spoilers, but with Olivia, she is a lawyer. She's the youngest partner at her law firm in Oxford. It takes place in England specifically and such, and it follows her doing a divorce of one of her most favorite actresses, Kate Lawrence, and like seeing that like Kate Lawrence is not the most like starlet that she sees on the screen, so she has to understand like that like everything can be an illusion, and then like they start having a relationship pretty much, is from what I know about this. Sapphic read. So excited for this one. And then the last one that I have in the physical form, which is book number 4, is Taurus Season by Bryn Weaver. I really liked the Ruinous Love trilogy besides Leather and Lark. I don't know why, I just did not like Leather and Lark that much. But this one follows a new series, which is the Seasons of Carnage trilogy. I think it's going to be a trilogy, but I'm not too sure. This one follows Harper and Nolan. Harper is a serial killer. They're both serial killers, but something when it comes to Harper is that unruly like tourists basically don't check out of Cape Carnage. They compost beneath her flower beds, and then Nolan comes to town pretty much being like on the anniversary of the hit and run accident that fractured his life. He targets someone that was involved in that, and Harper is a part of that. But then a investigator comes to town and they create a truce being like, hey, I won't touch you if you won't touch me until we can get rid of this guy, pretty much. So, and then it follows after that. And I also kind of wanted to read this before harvest season came out, because I don't know why, but I really like reading dark romances in the summertime. It's a weird thing. I don't know why, it gives summer vibes, especially Bryn Weaver, and I really like her writing style, so that's one of the reasons why this is on the docket for today as well. And then the last one that I have that's not in the physical form is The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. This is a little short novella. This is for if like I like have some like time left, like short time left on the timer for like whatever day, I can squeeze that in and just like, you know, just kind of like read it. Pretty much. All I know from that one is it's about these two people and they get trapped in their apartment complex because the stairs get broken, or like they're fixing the stairs and they can't leave the apartment complex. And I'm pretty sure it also deals with a little bit of like a stalking incident, but I can't remember off the top of my head when it comes to that. And those are pretty much all of the books that I have on the docket. It'll either like change a little bit or not really change too much. It just kind of depends on like what I'm feeling, and I've got like 10 minutes until I need to start the timer. And looking at these books and figuring out like which one I'm more excited to read, I think I'm gonna start off with Tempting Olivia by Claire Ashton. I really liked Claire's writing style, and I really liked the way that like it was written. I'm pretty sure this is independently published, but I cannot remember off the top of my head. I think she's an indie author, but again, I'm really excited to kind of continue this story and kind of read about Olivia's life and like learning about her love life and seeing her love story. So that's the first book we're gonna pick up. And then I don't know which one we're gonna pick up next, but you will see. I'm going to get things together and we will get the timer started very soon. again, my friends. I'm coming in to tell you that I have 22 hours and 11 minutes left of the timer. It's like almost about to be noon. Again, started the timer at 10, and I've made it about 20% into Tempting Olivia by Claire Ashton. You guys just saw me reading a little bit of it, and I thought I would come in with a little like check-in just to see like how I'm feeling about this. And so far, I'm liking this. I'm liking the banter between the two. And basically what it is Olivia is basically helping Kate with her divorce. So it's like a professional type of relationship, but their banter between the two of them is like golden. It's so great. And it talks about what it's like to find queer love specifically in your 30s, because that's a theme that I've been seeing a lot, is finding love, like especially like queer love within your 30s. Like the first one talked a lot about like finding your sexuality even when you get older, you know, like you didn't even notice until you were maybe like in your 30s. And it's something that I think needs to be represented a lot more, especially nowadays, because I mean, we have stories that talk about queer stories and coming out stories, but I think it's something that's very overlooked, is that like you can go like for like your like teenage life and young adult life being like, oh yeah, I'm straight, but then something happens to where you realize, oh wait, I'm not actually straight. But with this one specifically, Olivia, she's a lesbian while Kate is bisexual. And the thing about Kate is she's like this famous actress, and she hasn't publicly come out to the world, mostly because of the fact that, one, they don't need to know her business, and they're going through this divorce, going through applicable like things and such. And it's kind of interesting going through this because I work in a law firm and I haven't really seen how divorces work, like specifically through how like my boss does it. But it's such an interesting concept seeing like things of like how divorces go and how it's like going around with this. But Olivia, she is very much one of those people where I can relate to, where she has things very meticulous. She's the lawyer in this instance, while Kate is the client. And so far, I'm really liking this. I switched over to the audiobook because I was kind of starting to fall asleep while I was reading it just by itself. And I don't know why, but as of recently, I don't know if it is just because I'm so busy all the time and I like take things audibly most of the time. Like I learn things mostly through like listening rather than just like reading it pretty much, you know. But I started the audiobook on my phone, of course. It says I have like 10 hours and some odd minutes left. And I don't think I told you this, but I'm not trying to get through all of these as fast. I'm just seeing how much I can physically do pretty much throughout this entire challenge, you know? So it's not like I am like pushing myself to the limits. I'm like taking my breaks and obviously doing sleep and things like that. But with this one, I really am kind of taking my time, and whatever I'm feeling, I'm feeling, you know? So that's all I kind of have to say on Tempting Olivia. I will probably come back when I am a little bit halfway through, or maybe a little bit over halfway, do that check-in, and then we will more than likely finish reading Tempting Olivia together. Okay, besties, I'm coming in with my a little bit over halfway check-in. I'm currently at 66% through Tempting Olivia, chapter 29 to be exact, and I'm really loving this. Like, I haven't been recording for a while and such, but I am just loving it. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm like giggling and being like, oh my god, this is so cute. Let's see how much time we have left on the timer. The timer says I'm currently at 17 hours and 7 minutes and some odd seconds. So that has been roughly about 7 hours that we've passed through. By now, it's almost gonna be like 5 o'clock as of doing this. And according to the audiobook, it says I have like 4 hours and 30 something minutes left. So hopefully I can get this one done today. And once we get this one done, I think I'm either gonna pick up an offer from a gentleman, or I'm going to pick up the fall risk, but we shall see which one I'm feeling. But I'm loving this story. I'm loving seeing Olivia's storyline, because in the first book, book. I can kind of spoil it a little bit because it's an interconnected standalone and you don't technically have to read them in order, but you get a lot of context as into how Olivia is in that book and how she is whenever she's finding love in this book specifically. And I knew I would connect to Olivia in an interesting way, that I knew of the fact that I can have things kind of meticulous as well too, and her personality kind of aligns with mine and such. And then Kate was somebody that I wasn't too sure how I was going to connect with either, but I love her. I love her so much. I love both of them together, and I just love the cute little things that they have going on with each other. It is a little bit of like a Forbidden-esque romance because Olivia's the lawyer and then Kate is the client, but then something made it just a little bit less complicated as well. And it's just, I'm loving this. I'm loving this a lot more, I will say, than Millie and Charlotte's story, to say the least. I don't know why. I'm getting a lot more just lovey-dovey feelings from this one than I am from the other one, but I think that's pretty much all I really have to say. I've been doing stuff while working on the audiobook just so I don't fall asleep. So yeah, I've been doing that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on Tempting Olivia for now, at least. I will come back maybe when I have maybe 50 something pages left, or maybe 2 chapters left of the book, to be honest, because I really am enjoying the story and I can't wait to move on to the next one. But also at the same time, I'm loving this story, and I haven't really been much in a romance mood as of recently. You guys know this, because a lot of romances feels the same, but this one feels a lot more genuine in my opinion. I can probably describe it a little bit later once I finish the book in its entirety, but this is one of the first ones that I'm just really loving, really enjoying the characterization, and I'm loving the way that it's written as well too. So yes, I'm going to continue on with a little bit of Tempting Olivia, and you guys will see me with the talking bit when I have my full on review, and you guys will see me finishing up the book, and we will finish up Tempting Olivia together. Hello, my friends, again. I am coming back to tell you that I have finished reading Tempting Olivia by Claire Ashton, and I'm gonna talk a little bit through my thoughts before I kind of give my final rating and things like that. But to do a timer check-in, I pretty much have an hour left of today at least, and I was debating between whether starting the novella of The Fall Risk or doing starting another book and such. So, but right now I'm gonna talk about Tempting Olivia. And for this one, I enjoyed this so much more than I did meeting Millie. I don't know what it was, but I felt a lot more connected to Olivia and Kate as a couple than I did as Millie and Charlotte. Don't get me wrong, they're sweet and kind, but I feel like their story was a little bit more impactful, aka Olivia and Kate's was a little bit more impactful for me personally, mostly because of the fact that you have this woman who has kids and then another woman who doesn't really like kids, but then as she grows with Kate and sees her kids, she's like, maybe I do, maybe I just needed the right person, pretty much. And it's so fun seeing someone, especially with someone like Olivia that has a lot of guards up in her lifetime. She's not very trusting to people. She really has this goal set in mind of everything needs to be perfect. So sometimes she hasn't been allocating time to people in her life that she should, like her mom and her best friend. And then when she's with Kate, she kind of lets loose a little bit, pretty much, and it's one of those fun things where it was really, really nice to see like someone like let loose like this. Honestly, this is Olivia and this is Kate on the cover as well too. And it was really fun to watch. And in my opinion, out of all of the romance books, like specifically adult contemporary romance books that I've read, this has some of the best spice that has ever been written, in my opinion. And just a little blanket thing and such like that, it does have spice, but it doesn't have much spice in my opinion. Like, it goes into detail, but it's not like explicit. You know, you can clearly tell that they're having sex on the page, but it's not like an explicit thing. And I don't know, I really loved that, to be honest with you. There's just something about it where it's kind of hard to talk about without spoiling the first book, but from where we meet Olivia after the second like book's event, and as like you keep going and going, you see Olivia kind of transform from this person who keeps a mask on and then meets this girl named Kate who is going through a divorce and whatever, and you kind of see the mask slowly starting to fade and Olivia kind of questioning what she really thinks about her life and what she thought her life looked like, because she didn't really feel like that she was going to find someone that she loved and cared about as much as she did with Kate. And then she found that in Kate, and it was just so beautiful to watch and be able to just kind of see them do. And I don't know, it was just lovely. It was just absolutely lovely. I loved it so much. I loved just everything in general when it came to that. It was just so breathtakingly beautiful. I would highly recommend this. And I gave Meeting Millie a 4-star. And honestly, I'm really kind of teetering between a 4.5 to a 5-star. I think honestly, I'm not gonna, I need to think on this a little bit personally. I need to think on it, and I need to see if I am still thinking about Kate and Olivia after this, because usually if I keep thinking about them either in the days afterwards or just things like that in general, then it's kind of a 5-star. But right now, saying like a 4.5 to a 5-star potentially is just like what I'm good with personally. So yeah, that is my review on Tempting Olivia. That's book 1 done of the challenge. And again, it's like 9:07 right now as I'm like recording this. I've still got these guys left along with The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. I have the audiobook ready to go, and even if I don't finish the audiobook like during the time, it's more than likely going to be listened to, because according to this, I listened to it, my stuff at at 1.5 speed, which is kind of a little fast, but that's just how I listen to things and how it like goes through my brain a lot of the time. So I won't be able to get it done within the time limit, but if I do it tonight and listen to it even after like the timer for today is done, then I will give you guys my reviews on it tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, because while I would love to start one of these tonight, it's kind of late and I want to be able to give my mind like a clear head, not my mind, give these books a chance by having a clear head and such. And looking at these after finishing The Fall Risk, I'm looking between An Offer from a Gentleman, that almost just slid off the pile, or This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. I've been wanting to read both of them for so long, it's not even funny, but we shall see how I feel afterwards. But I am gonna throw away my dinner because we recently just had dinner, and I'm gonna record a little bit of me reading The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. Hey guys, and welcome to day 2 of the 24-hour readathon. So just a little recap of yesterday. I finished up reading Tempting Olivia by Claire Ashton, along with reading a little bit of The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. And I finished reading The Fall Risk, but I was kind of tired, so I didn't want to give you a review yesterday. So I'm going to give you kind of a quick little review today, because I think I know what that one's going to be. And I tell you what, I am getting to be a little bit more of an Abby Jimenez fan as I keep reading her books. Mostly because of the fact that even though I typically don't like the insta love, or instant romance type of vibe, for this little novella, it makes perfect sense as to why they kind of like each other and why they fell for each other in the first place. And it doesn't definitively say that hey, they're specifically gonna be together forever, pretty much, I mean, it could happen because, it's a fiction story, pretty much. And specifically, one of the things that I liked is how short it was, but specifically how it made me care for these characters. And you guys know me, I get disappointed by romance novellas very, very quickly. And this one did not disappoint me, which I'm very, very happy about. I almost kind of have similar feelings as to when I read Love and Other Killers by Bryn Weaver, which is that little novella after the Ruinous Love trilogy. And honestly, I rated that one a 4-star, and this one, I would rate a 4-star as well too, to be honest. Mostly because of the fact that it was cute, it was fun, and honestly, it's propelling me to read and finish up her Part of Her World series before going on to the Say You'll Remember Me stuff. I've read Part of Your World and Say You'll Remember Me now, and now The Fall Risk, and I've just really kind of enjoyed her writing style. So that's that. And thinking back onto Tempting Olivia, I didn't give a definitive rating and such, and I'm not thinking about it as much as I would, but I very much more enjoy it than Meeting Millie, so that one's gonna be a 4.5. So we got a 4.5 and then a 4-star for this one. And for day 2, the plan is kind of just to read as much as I physically possibly can within the 12 hours that's left on the timer. And it's Super Bowl Sunday as well too, so I'll obviously take a break, watch the Super Bowl halftime performance and the opening as well too. I really don't care for the teams. The one that I really hope wins is the Seahawks, because the other one I think has a political affiliation that I do not support personally. Going back onto the books that I want to read, I still have An Offer from a Gentleman along with This Could Be Us and Tourist Season. And right now the one that's calling to me, because the season, part 2 of the season's going to be coming up soon, and it is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is the 3rd book in the Bridgerton series, with the 4th season coming out with Sophie and Benedict's story. I just want to read this just to kind of see how they translated this book, because it was published maybe 20 something years ago. It was published in the early 2000s. I know that for certain. But I'm really kind of curious because Bridgerton is very much all-inclusive, but when these books were coming out, there wasn't as much inclusivity? There we go. Inclusivity to people of different genders and different races and things like that, and not really supportive of the LGBTQIA plus community, and things like that. But I'm really, really curious to that. This honestly might take up my entire day, but we shall see. Like I said, I'm going to read a little bit of this. I might switch in between the book and the audiobook itself, because yesterday I mostly read audibly as well. And if I get done with this one, I think I'm gonna start with either This Could Be Us or Tourist Season. I'm leaning more towards This Could Be Us, but maybe I'll read a little bit of Tourist Season. We shall see. But right now my main priority is to read and finish An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. So I've got 7 minutes until the timer needs to start at 10 o'clock, and I will see you guys at 10. Hi again, friends. So I'm coming in with my halfway check-in of An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. I have about 5 hours and 39 minutes left on the timer for today. And the beginning was basically kind of the same as part 2-esque. But I don't know why. For this one and such, I'm reading it in everybody's voices, and it sounds really, really odd in my opinion. It doesn't sound like how it is in the show, sort of. Like, it sounds like, I mean, I know that this is the source material and such, but I don't know. There's something about it where I'm just like, I don't know, you know? It's just one of those things. But yeah, I've made it to the 50% mark, as you can see right there. And I got to the part where part 1 in the show ended off, specifically with the Be My Mistress part. And it was, honestly, in my opinion, it's more excruciating in the show than it is in the book, which I didn't think was possible personally, you know? And then, yeah, I made it to like chapter 24. I think there's a total of 23 chapters plus the second epilogue, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we shall see. I'm not really liking it as much as I did with Penelope and Colin's story when I read that during their break specifically. I did find myself zoning out a lot, especially in the beginning, because it's like, yeah, see where this comes from, see where that comes from, rada. But now we've gotten to the new part of the actual book itself and what stuff could be featured in part 2, and I'm intrigued, to say the least. I will say it is hard seeing the descriptions within the actual books because they do not match Luke or Urine whatsoever, to be honest. I'm imagining them as these two along with the other people within the show, because this book was written 20 years ago, or at least published 20 years ago. Let me see the copyright page. Yeah, the copyright page was 2001 specifically. Yeah, 2001 was when this book was originally published, so it is 25 years old depending on what month it was published in as well. So it is definitely, you could really kind of see the undertones of where it was. But from how they did it in the show, for the first part at least, it's so much better than the first part of this book, you know? Honestly, I'm trying to think of what else, to be honest with you. Oh, another thing that's kind of bothering me is Benedict is Loki being so pushy towards Sophie in here that I'm like, dude, she said no to being your goddamn mistress. Shut up, let her be, you know? And things like that. And it's just I wonder how they're gonna handle that in the show. You know, I'm really curious to see how they handle it, because I'm just we shall see, you know, we shall see. Is there anything else that I want to talk about with this? I feel like I'm just talking in circles when it comes to this. Again, I have 5 hours-ish left. I might be able to finish it if I breeze through it without listening to the audiobook, because the audiobook for sure was definitely slowing me down. And plus I was helping my family out with Super Bowl Sunday stuff as well, and it's close to 4:30, so if I can get 2 chapters knocked out and then let me see, how long is the 2 chapters? Yeah, if I can get this much done before 5 o'clock, because we're gonna watch Green Day, and then obviously gonna tune in a little bit to the game, but I'm more excited for the halftime show than I am in the opening performance than I am the actual game itself. I am rooting for the Seahawks though, but you guys will see this well after who plays and such like that. So probably editing Sam will be she was right or she was wrong, you know? So anyways, I'm going to continue on with this, and then I will probably see you guys when I have my final update along with my thoughts. Yeah, my final update and the end of the day, pretty much. So yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, besties, I am coming to say that we have officially finished this 24-hour readathon. Round of applause, round of applause. I will say it wasn't as eventful as my last one personally and such, but I did end up finishing 2 of the books on my TBR along with the novella. And while I'm here, as you guys saw, I was still reading a little bit of An Offer from a Gentleman as like the timer was going off, but I had like 2 chapters. I had like a chapter and a half plus the epilogue, and I was like, I'm gonna finish it here while I'm here, to say the least. So yeah, I have finished reading An Offer from a Gentleman, and I will say it definitely got better after part 2. Or yeah, it got better specifically during the halfway mark is what I would say specifically. I'm really curious to see how they're going to portray this into the TV show, and specifically where it's left off in the TV show, because the way they get their happy ending, it makes absolute sense. But my mom and I were talking about this theory. We watched Bridgerton together because I got her hooked onto it. She has a different theory as to what happens in this book. I'm not going to completely spoil it and such because, you know, I know that some people want to read the book before they watch the TV adaptation. And as of right now, I will say the TV version is better because, I don't know, some people find this attractive, but like somebody who was like as persistent and as jealous as Benedict was when it came to Sophie, I was just like, dude, she's rejected your offer multiple times. Why can't you get the hint, bro? Like, why can you not get the damn hint? It's just like, dude, I was really rooting for him in the book specifically. I still love Luke Thompson as my Benedict and such, and I have a feeling him and Yuron Ha are 100% going to nail it in the show. It was just really rough, to say the least, and seeing their banter definitely got a lot better after like the halfway mark of this book specifically, and it was good. And honestly, what I'm thinking is that this is gonna be a 3.5 to 3.75 specifically. I know that's very hyper specific, but I don't know if it quite warrants a 4-star. I did enjoy it, but there was just a lot of things that really did irk me. And after I read this book, I'm not too sure if I'm gonna remember this story of Benedict and Sophie or if I'm gonna remember the TV show version. And at this point, I have a feeling I'm going to remember the TV show version of things rather than the book event of things, pretty much. So that's why I'm kind of like teetering between the 3.5 to 3.75. I know it's super, super goddamn specific, but it's something that I'm just like, okay. Just okay. So yeah, that is the final book that I have read for the reading vlog. Yeah, for the 24-hour readathon and such. The only 2 books that we did not get to in this was This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan and Tourist Season by Brynn Weaver. Honestly, these 2 were kind of fever dreams at this point because I read very slow, but sometimes I like to have a variety of things if I'm not feeling a certain book, or I'm just like, I'm just gonna DNF this for now. Let's pick up another one on my tentative TBR. But to do a little bit of a recap, starting with the first book that I read for the readathon, which was Tempting Olivia by Claire Ashton. This one is a 4.5 for me personally. I loved it so much. I love Kate and I love Olivia. I love their relationship so much. And even though it had a little bit of a silly undertone to it, it was still very much real and raw and emotional. And even though I'm not like in my 30s, I'm in my younger 20s pretty much, you know. I am just like my lower 20s more specifically. I was like, that wasn't the right wording. Sometimes I have a hard time of connecting to like older characters, but I did not have a hard time connecting to these 2. What I'm trying to say with this one is I had connected with Olivia in so many ways, along with Kate as well too. It was just so refreshing to read about a sapphic romance that's not just between a couple of horny 20-something-year-olds, to be honest with you. And granted, these 2 two, they were not like, they're in their 30s, you know, they have careers, they have, like, one of them has a kid and such. And it was just so endearing to see people who are older in their lives finding their true love, because love doesn't really have like a proper age that you need to like achieve it. There are certain things that are like definitely good for like biological clocks and things like that. But at the same time, you don't need to just be young to find your soulmate. And that's what this book gave me. So this one was a 4.5. I loved it so much. And then the next book that I read, the cover's still on my Kindle, and that's The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. And this one is still a 4-star for me as well too. It was cute. It was fun, and I don't really like the insta-love trope that much, but in the context of a novella, I completely get it. And it's not like that they were saying like they were like in love with each other. They were basically saying like, hey, I like you, you want to go on a date with me? And then it goes on from there pretty much. And like the readers, we can kind of interpret like what happens afterwards. So that's The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. And then of course, I just ranted to you guys about An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. And to be honest, there's a scene specifically at the end of part 1 of Bridgerton season 4 where Benedict offers Sophie something that angered a lot of audiences. And the way it happened in this one, it's a lot more subtle because he doesn't say the actual words itself. She's the one that acknowledges it, which I think is fascinating, and why they changed it to be like that, you know? Like he's like completely read the situation completely wrong in the show, and he doesn't even say it properly in the book. Or maybe he does. I might have skipped over that part. Who the hell knows? I kind of like skimmed mostly through the first part of this. But yeah, that is An Offer from a Gentleman done. And of course, that concludes the 24-hour readathon. Am I planning on doing one of these again in the near future? Probably not. Probably another one you might see from me is, honestly, what I'm thinking is I'm thinking about doing one where instead of it's 24 hours with like a strict timer to see how many books I can read, it's just taking a whole weekend to just kind of chill and read at whatever speed I want to of whatever books, whether that's like fiction books I've been wanting to get into, or historical fictions, or like fantasy series. You guys know that I've been wanting to get into fantasy and kind of finding my groove with that genre. So you probably won't see one of these ever. If I do it, it'll probably be with a friend, because a friend will keep me accountable. But I think instead of doing the how many like books I can read within the span of like 24 hours split over 2 days, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna label it as like 48 hours of reading with no timer, just like taking however long I want to with books during that weekend, you know? But anyways, I really did enjoy this, and I really hope you guys did too. And I hope you guys will be open to the 48-hour readathons without like the no timers, just keeping it chill. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try and move to nowadays. But again, I've been rambling for too long. So thank you guys again for watching. If you did, make sure to like and comment down below. And if you don't know what to comment down below, let me know if you do like doing 24-hour readathons by yourself or with friends, or if you just don't care for them but like watching them because you can't do them yourself. Either one of those, just leave me a comment talking about that, or whatever you'd like to comment and such. Again, make sure to subscribe. Also turn on post notifications by turning on the little bell. I try and post every Sunday and every other Wednesday. That's like what my schedule is most of the time. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Again, thanks for watching, and I truly hope that you guys have an amazing day, week, month, and year. See you later, friends.